Never miss an episode of the Final Furlong podcast. Subscribe now on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now, here's your host, Emmet Kennedy.
The Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, Sweet Azteca, all the team wanted to take on when we spoke to the Americans. This is our final answers episode of the Final Furlong podcast. Emmet Kennedy alongside Adam Mills, Georgia Cox, and Barry Faulkner. Hope Road was the one that got almost unanimous appeal from the entire panel from the Americans. Who are you with, Adam Mills?
No, I'm with Sweet Azteca. I want to be with Sweet Azteca. She won 8 races out of 10. Did everything right as course and distance form. Fastest second furlong last time. She's going to bounce out from stall 6. She'll be in a prominent position. I think she's better than me, so I'm quite happy with that price. So we'll see whether the Americans are better than me or not.
Okay. 2-1 is the price you're getting about Sweet Azteca with 1xbet. Who are you with, Georgia?
Yeah, I think obviously Sweet Azteca's in really good form and the course form, and she just has so much speed. But one that I thought was interesting was Tamara, out of beholding the fact that Richard Mandela also has Copian, who's taken on the boys, makes you think, does he think he's covered base here with Tamara? She's shown a lot of ability early on and then was tried over further. Back to sprinting, she was back to winning ways last time, and she just could be an interesting one here.
One of the things I love about American racing is we get access to all the gallops and the works that these horses do. The daily racing form final note for Sweet Azteca is monster work on October 19th, says she is thriving. So that's another boost for the favourite, but who is Barry Faulkner with?
Well, I just saw, let's start with Tamara. They're going to pronounce it Tamara when you hear the commentary, George. Don't get confused. It's the same filly. I would call it Tamara as well, but they have these peculiarities of pronunciation over there. She was interesting because she was the 4-5 favourite for the juvenile fillies in 2023 and went off too quickly and just didn't get home. Had one run last year and one so far this year. Could be out. I mean, she's the most intriguing runner in this race, bar none. So I certainly wouldn't want to put you off that one. Hauling Ice was using the same prep race that last year's winner won. Didn't do quite as well in that race as she did, although she's got a decent speed figure, over 6.5 furlongs. Different with Sweet Azteca, she's never actually run at 7 furlongs. She's run at 6.5 and she's run at a mile. That was her last run, which was at 2 back when she ran at Los Alamitos, and that's not everybody's favourite track. So I got a good number there. I wasn't overly impressed with that. I think she's quite short. She's one I want to be against rather than with, but I'm not entirely sure which one with. Hope Road won the Ballerina last time. Decent race. She was well beaten by Copian in February, but when Richi was finished behind both of them. However, Richi is the one I'm going to suggest here, one of the Baffert couple. A bit like last year's when they're dropping back to this trip after trying better company over a mile and half a furlong. And hopefully she can do the same as the last did last year. So Richi is the one for me to take on the favourite here.
Okay, and Tamara or Tamara, whichever pronunciation you want to go for, same silks as Beholder, who Richard Mandela won 3 races at the Breeders' Cup with, and just campaigned that horse brilliantly. One
of my all-time favourite sweetheart horses, Beholder.
Yeah, legend. 2, 3, and 6. Is that when she won? A juvenile, a 3-year-old, and then missed 2 Breeders' Cups and came back as a 6-year-old and goes and wins it again.
When the one who came back from a gap to win. I love horses that do that.
Just extraordinary stuff. So it'd be pretty cool to see Richard Mandela with another really good one. Okay, my favourite race of the meeting, the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Yeah. Arizona Blaze has become the 4-1 favourite with 1xbet. Stall 3, David Egan has been renewed until 2028. Well done, David. He's a class act. And Adrian Murray with a horse who obviously ran a blinder in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint a year ago. But can we trust the European sprinters? No, we can't. Certainly not at a single figure price. AG Bullet or Silver Bullet, whichever pronunciation you want to go for. Johnny Velasquez on board, a 9-2 shot, and she is fast for the Americans. And Reef Runner was given a really big shout out from a vibes perspective from Charlie Freeman on the show, but he likes him, I should say. Wants to go with him. Who does Adam Mills want to side with?
Well, this is difficult because basically we have spent you and I have spent 6 months slagging off every European sprint that's ever been run.
I regret
We've
nothing.
criticised the form. We've criticised the way nothing makes sense. They're all useless roads at one point or another. And then we rock up to the Breeders' Cup and you got Arizona Blaze second favourite. It's just messy. So I don't really want to be with Arizona Blaze. I do like Motorius. I could definitely see that. 5th in the race in 2023, 2nd last year, stall 1. Course and distance form, last time out, 10.35, second furlong, he'll be in the front rank. First for the final 2 furlongs, best run out speed. There's definitely a chance Motorius just breaks out, holds the rail and wins. So I can definitely see why that was at the head of the market. Oh, Emmet, cover your ears, because I know last week Hitman won and it was tough, but what if Cardem gets a good ride from Dettori? What if Cardem gets a good ride? Look at Barry's face. He's oh my god.
Did I get in your head? Because I've been saying this. I'm starting to think he's not going to have enough runway. But he's a big price.
He's 9 years old. He's been around the block hundreds of times. It would be really, really late in his career for them to suddenly realise, you know what he's really suited for? 5 furlongs around the bend in the States. But that was quite a good win at Keeneland. It's not impossible because this is going to set up for what Cardem wants. Loads inside him. He's in stall 4. He's not going to be in the front rank. He's going to sit in track, and if the toy gets the gaps, he might run into a place. Oh, I can't. I'll have to have a little bit on him. I will have to have a little bit each way on him because there is just this chance where several of these take each other on. There's a real burn-up, and the gap just opens, and the Tory goes through it. But Motorius will be my main play, but there will be a saver on Cardem because I can't believe they haven't tried this before enough. Because actually, the more you think about it, the more you think he should probably have spent most of his career running in the sprints in the States. He probably have done better.
Yeah, I think it's hard to disagree with that, actually. You're very welcome to my side of the fence. Adam was so dismissive of this when I said it a week ago. He's like, oh, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
No, don't do it. No, he's not, no chance. Welcome on board the Cheltenham train. Is Georgia Cox on the Cheltenham train?
Do you know what? I actually am. A lot of these pants, the worrying problem is a lot of these.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to play sound effects left, right. If Frankie does the double aspect island in it, we're going mad. Georgia, apologies.
Yeah, a lot of these fancied horses won last time, so that's worrying, as then you have to hope a sprinter can back it up. You have the 2nd and 3rd from last year, Motorius and AG Bullet, but that was when there was that long delay at the start with Believing getting stuck in the stalls, and Brad Searle absolutely rocketed from the wide draw and just really added fire to the pace, and that's why Starlast won. And maybe it is a year for the geldings. Frankie said to put headgear on Cardem. He was looking up at the stars last time. He just really looks like he's enjoying his time out there. Obviously, Ascot and Del Mar are nothing as tracks, but he thrives in the sunshine and with the big crowds, and they're 2 things that he'll get here. The age 9 thing doesn't bother me, as I just feel like we know him more than these other sprinters. Like, they're so hard to gauge, and travelling geldings is like an adventure for them. It can sweeten them right up, and maybe it's just a soft spot for him because you can't really say his value. The fact he was 3rd to River Bear, and River Bear's 20-1, but I can't get away from him, so I'm going to go for him too.
3 for Cheltenham. Now, is Barry Faulkner going to make this the absolute banker of the meeting because all 4 of us are on board, or is he about to burst the bubble and say, you people have lost your minds?
No, my notes myself on my little PC is a 9-year-old but can't be dismissed, but could find it all happening a bit quick, which I think is a reasonable summary. Take the point about Arizona Blaze being plenty short enough. Bucanero Fuerte is interesting. It's the only length behind him last time. He's much bigger price. Motorius, I love. He's run over this course and distance 5 times and won 4 of them. He was only beaten ahead in this last year. He is absolutely no surprise that he's top of the market, and I could see him winning easily. She's So Spicy is quite interesting, well behind Arizona Blaze in the Commonwealth Cup, but ducked out there, so I could see that one run a race. But again, it's an odd race. But Motorius at 7-2, I still think, with the price I've just seen here, still think that's a pretty square price to me.
Okay. And some of the team were really interested in Motorius as well. But did you say, what was your phrase from? Was it that you can see him running well, or that you can see him difficult to beat?
Motorius,
yeah,
I can see. He's got a knocking form around this. I mean, this course he's run 5 times, won 4 of them, and was only beaten ahead in this last year. You can't not like him.
3-1.
Can you?
3-1, but 1 expert. No, I absolutely despise the European sprinters. I despise them. I think it's an awful, awful division, and I desperately wanted to take them on. And AG Bullet was the one I wanted to do that with. And the lads talked me out of it, and you haven't been very positive about her, and you're very positive about Motorius, so that's enough for me. But I can't not back Cheltenham. He's too big a price. I do think this short stretch run is going to be a problem for him, that he might just run out of runway late on. But at 16-1, we'll take a chance on him. But more preference, I think, for Barry's. Keep it simple. Box Exacta. Barry Faulkner special. Motorius Cheltenham. Boom. See you in Dubai, as long as we don't completely lose our minds and get too excited with those winnings and reinvest in other races. Breeders' Cup Sprint, dirt sprinters this time around. 7-2, Bentonaro, who's basically the nap of the meeting for Howard Kravitz. He's got a bigger price about him. Quite a few people were commenting on YouTube that they've got this horse at 9-1 and 11-1. Well done, you, if you've got that value. 7-2 is held up, which I think Howard's a bit surprised about. Imagination 9-2. Copian, who switches from the turf to the dirt, is a 5-1 shot, and Straight No Chaser, who was great last year for Johnny V, is a 7-1 shot. Adam, who are you with?
Oh, Bentonato all day long. Bentonato for me. This is, of all the races I previewed this week, this was the one I was like, yeah, I can't really find a reason not to try and be with this horse. You know, second in the race last year, beating half a length. Off for a long time, so there is always that little like nagging doubt. I am one of these people who believes in the bounce factor, and there's a slight possibility. But having said that, made his comeback in mid-September, so he's had plenty of time to get over. 10 starts, 6 wins, never out the first 3. You know, weirdly enough, this horse was third in a Saudi Derby in 2024. I'm not really sure what they were thinking going there, but you know, 5 from 6 over sprint trips. Really good top speed figure last time out. Over half a second quicker than the runner-up last time at Churchill over the last 3 furlongs. You're still 10's maybe not perfect, but I don't think this race is any worse than last year. Straight No Chaser's drawn outside him. I think Bentonato is probably one of the good things. The other one that I'd give a very, very small mention to, and I know you like these like massive price exactors. There's a horse of Wesley Ward's drawn out in the car park in 14 called What You're Talking About, who probably isn't good enough, has to get in the race, but does have a habit of running on into the places and comes out quite nicely on the stride length predictions. So there is a little possibility that if he gets a run, he might go well. But you know, this race should go to Bentonato if he gets a good run.
Okay, Bentonato, second in the race a year ago. Is he going to go one better, Georgia? Who are you with?
Yeah, Bentonato for me too. Just super consistent with his last run at Churchill when beating here Misong by 5 lengths. And his run here last year, you'd have to think he's the one to beat. He has finished second to Straight No Chaser before, but Straight No Chaser was since disappointing when Favourite and Imagination won the race. And there was no excuses for Straight No Chaser there. He just didn't finish at all. So I think Bentonato is the one to beat.
What about Barry Faulkner? Who are you with?
Well, can I just put a case in for Straight No Chaser to say the reason he ran out of gas last time, he was coming off a decent size layoff there and may have needed it. So there's a possibility he could rebound and be more competitive here. I also want to talk about a horse called Buckham Dano. You know Buckham Dano?
Yeah.
The best sprinter in North America who would win this if he was in the race. Well, 2 things here. One, we were talking about the Saudi Derby earlier. He came second in that Saudi Derby behind Forever Young, and the other lad, Bentonato, was the one that finished third in that race. So anyway, Buckham Dano ties with another horse who I think could be a value play here, and that's Mullikin, who has finished behind Buckham Dano, fed up as in his bloody backside, I think, this year in all the decent sprints in New York. Ran an absolute clunker in the Fogo last time, but in his best form this year, you put him in the mix, certainly, in this race. So I'd have him as a little each way bet. he finished third in this last year. So he's one that I'd put up as an each way pop. I do see the point about Bentonato and Straight No Chaser, but this is a tough one. One I will say is Copion's best, 4 from 4 at 7 furlongs, never run at this trip. I just think she's going to get belted here against these old lags.
Straight No Chaser was really good in the Middle East earlier in the season, and then a couple of those horses that had hard races then just bombed out on Dubai World Cup night. It was interesting because normally that form backs up, but it didn't. And perfectly understandable that he would have needed the last day. If he's back to the form he was in last year, he'll take an awful lot of beating. And Mulligan's a really interesting shout as well. Fascinating race. I'm way more interested in that one than I am in the turf sprint, which makes no sense. I'm a European. I'm supposed to be all over the grass sprinters. If you've been watching that division long enough or listening to this podcast for long enough, then you know what we're talking about. And with that in mind, smash a like button on this video if you haven't already. It's a huge help to us with the algorithm. And hit the subscribe button as well so you never miss an episode. Weekend preview coming your way with the team. And we'll be looking back on all of the action from the National Hunt Racing and, of course, the Breeders' Cup as well in the company of Lizzie Kelly, Daryl Jacob. Adam Mills is going to be here, Georgia Cox hopefully as well. Lots more content coming your way on the Final Furlong podcast. So hit that subscribe button. It's a big help to us with the algorithm. The next race we're going to talk about is, again, on the dirt. We're talking about the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff, the Grade 1, and Seismic Beauty was really, really fancied for this race by some of the team. Most of the team, in fact. I think it was unanimous with some of them thinking this horse just wins by however far she wants to. Are you in agreement with that comment, Adam Mills?
I think she's by far the most likely winner. I think she'll certainly uphold all the form that's there. The trouble with this market is I'm not really sold on Nitrogen, and it's very difficult because the race last time was kind of the Spinster Stakes revolved around Torpedo Anna, and you could almost see all the jockeys are thinking like, "Where's Torpedo Anna?" And then when she didn't run a race, and I was obviously been something at the time, it then became kind of a situation where Louis Sires is on Gin, Jose Ortiz on Nitrogen. Nitrogen comes around the outside and you think, well, Nitrogen will just pick up Gin here. And she didn't. And yeah, she had a much longer stride and that should have really suited. And Gin just put her head down, battled on through the line. I'm not that certain that Nitrogen will reverse the form of Gin. And yet Gin's 3 times the price. So if I've got doubts over the second favourite, I'd want to probably be with Seismic Beauty. But I also think there is a little bit of a swing to be had here with a horse of Brendan Walsh's called Clico, who has won her last 4 starts. Really annoyingly, her latest win came at Philadelphia Park, which is one of the tracks we don't have the data from. But she's done lots of things really well. She's been quietly campaigned, but has won her last 4 starts. That was a Grade 1 win at Philadelphia. Now, this is not a horse for you to back if you're faint-hearted. Because when I watch the replay and you think, this is going to be right, she's tanking away behind the lead, who's going to pick them up. And when she hits the front, she does a proper hitman job. It's like head in the air, oh my goodness, I don't want to go in front. Really had to battle her, but she did stick her head down. She did win, only by a neck. She's going to have to be played pretty late. It's not the easiest ride for Flavian Pratt, but she's won her last 4 starts and she's 16-1. So I think there is a little bit of each way value in Clico. Certainly in the exactors. Seismic Beauty is the most likely winner, but I'm going to take a chance on Clico each way instead.
I think that's going to be music to Tim Shaw's ears. He's the trainer who was with us on Monday's show, and Tim Shaw is training out of Philadelphia, out of Prax. So you'll love to see that form carried forward to the Breeders' Cup. And as you are right, 16-1, just been cut to 14-1, but one expect maybe they're taking evasive maneuvers on your strong words for Clico. Georgia, who are you with?
Yeah, a race that probably hasn't come up as strong as you'd expect with no Torpedo Anna. A lot of 3-year-olds in here, but one that holds form with her is Dorth Bader. She chased home Torpedo Anna all the way to the line last time, that probably being the best form here. They pulled a long way clear of the rest of the field, and before that she won the Grade 1 Ogden Phillips Stakes by 4.5 lengths as well. The negative for her is that she's a bit in and out, but on a good day, she could be right there. Another one that I could see would be Scottish Lassie. She was so good at Saratoga. Last time they changed the way they rode her, she was very far back and all the kickback, and I'm just hoping that was a one-off. Hopefully they can just follow Seismic Beauty here to take her into the race. I think she has the quality to run well.
Okay, 2 against the favourite so far. What about Barry Faulkner? Who are you with for the Distaff?
Well, the first Seismic Beauty first. I think that number she got last time was basically a beating up inferior opposition number. She just did what she wanted, so everything was in her comfort zone, which is why it came out so big. So I've got a bit of a doubt about that. I take the point about nitrogen. I really quite like nitrogen here for a reason. She's not been a dirt runner. She's done a run on dirt twice recently. She's been turf before that. So I think they're learning how to ride and how to run her on dirt. The bum of her is the horrible draw. I think she's got scope to improve, but that draw's awful. Jin could hook up with Seismic Beauty, and if they get at it, that would be perfect. That would suit me ideally. And I probably still will see what sort of price nitrogen goes at to see whether I'm going to have an interest. The other one in here, which is an interesting one, is Scylla. Earning good numbers this year, but not one win from 5 starts. Third behind nitrogen Jin last time. She's another one that I could see benefiting if there's a cracker's pace up front. And she's a must for your exotics. She really is. She's always there or thereabouts. I'm puzzled with this race. It's a bit of a yuck race at the moment. I don't really like Seismic Beauty. I quite like nitrogen, but not enough at the sort of price she is currently.
Okay, Scylla was 16 to 1 with 1xBet. She's been cut from 20, so there has been support for her, and she was only beaten a length in the Breeders' Cup Sprint last year behind Soul of an Angel. So she's got form at the track, and a very interesting runner for Bill Mott, a trainer we'll talk about a little bit later on. Before we get to the Breeders' Cup Classic, let's go for the main event on turf, the Breeders' Cup Turf, and this is a sensational running of the race. It's one Aidan O'Brien has won 7 times. A number of Breeders' Cup races he's won 7 times. Hopefully, by the time this race rolls around, he'll already be the winning most trainer in the history of the Breeders' Cup, which is just extraordinary, considering his first winner at the meeting was in 2001. All of his horses have to be shipped over from Tipperary, and this meeting has been in existence since 1984. He's currently level with why is my brain just... The incredibly legendary trainer. Why is my brain frozen?
D. Wayne Lucas.
D. Wayne Lucas, thank you. And there's an amazing photograph of D. Wayne Lucas helping Giants Causeway onto the track for his attempt at the Breeders' Cup Classic. Legendary trainer, and obviously we lost him this year, but Aidan O'Brien could be standalone winning most trainer in the history of the Breeders' Cup. That would make him winning most trainer in the history of the Breeders' Cup and Royal Ascot. Phenomenal. Tell me again how Francois-Henri Gaffard is the world's greatest trainer. But hey, is he going to upset him? Because he's got Goliath, who buried Rebels Romance in the King George last year when he got an end-to-end gallop, and that was fast ground. He's probably going to get both of those things again this time around, and he's 9 to 1, and Rebels Romance, the dual winner of this race, including last year's winner, is 5 to 2. But standing in his way is Mini Hawk. A 3-year-old filly, just like Found was. She had run in the Arc and extraordinarily had also competed in the Champion Stakes before going and winning the Breeders' Cup Turf. She was then beaten in defence of her crown by stable companion Highland Reel, who had also run in the Arc. So quick turnaround from the Arc is not a problem for Aidan O'Brien. She's got 3 Group 1 wins in the CV, 2 Classics, 4 Oaks. Is she going to win the Breeders' Cup Turf, or is this going to be an upset race? Adam Mills.
Well, first thing to say, Mini Hawk's a right favourite. That run in the Arc is the best piece of form on offer. At the weight, she's got £7 in hand. If she's got a reasonable draw in stall 8, it's possible. It's certainly possible. I don't really want to take even money about it, but I could see it. There's going to be a boxing match in this race. Rebels Romance is in 1. Goliath is in 2. Yeah. Amalok is in 3. All big lads is how I would describe them. And they're all going to want to be in some kind of prominent position on this track. That there's a possibility of a bit of a scrap down on the rail. So that kind of, I've been really excited about Rebels Romance. And then I was like, I didn't really want stall 1.
Yeah.
I'd have just been happy in 6. If we were in 6, I think, well, at least we can track Mini Hawk at worst. Stall 1 is tricky. And it's a little bit messy. And you have to also remember, Rebels Romance is one of the most admirable horses in training, probably ever. 19 wins. He's phenomenal. Wins everywhere he goes all around the world, does everything right. But he also does have a habit of picking up relatively weak races, particularly in recent years. And you shouldn't get massively excited. The win last time wasn't like it was a career best by any means. I've looked at this race so many times and I thought, it's going to scrap. Who's going to get to the front? If Goliath wins, it'd be fantastic for Graffard, but just think Goliath is not going to be suited by Delmar for some reason. I just feel like he's quite big, and that German race was sort of basically in Germany. If you get that stand rail, you win. It doesn't matter what you're riding, you just win. So it's kind of messy. And then just kind of scrapping everything else is going to kind of be a bit behind things. I've taken a little flyer on this on a horse called Redistricting, who is the only American horse in the betting currently that's sub 40 to 1, and he's 25s for Chad Brown. Redistricting is interesting because he ran against Rebels Romance last time and he was faster out of the stalls. There was only a 5-runner race. It was a bit messy. Flavian Pratt got out in front of Rebels Romance and then for some reason on the first turn went, yeah, go on, go by. And now if you're going to hand a soft lead to Rebels Romance, he's not going to come back. And that was a bit foolish, but it was Redistricting's first attempt at the 12 furlong trip, and I think they were riding him, thinking to get him home. Run out speed was quite good, finished his race well. A lot of work to do to reverse the form with Rebels Romance. And the way I intend to play this is it's going to be a heavy load up on the place market. Probably if I have a tenner on this race, it'll be £8 on the place market and 2 on the win, because I think Redistricting would need an absolute career best by about a stone to win this. But because he's in stall 4 and I know he's got good gate speed, there's a very good chance Redistricting is going to get out and get in front of these 3 bigger lads on his inside. And if that happens and there's a bit of a scrimmage behind and there's not much room, there's a chance that a lot of those drawn wider have got no choice but just to drop in because there'll be this wall of massive horses in front of them. Redistricting looked like one of the pace angles to me. And I think if he swings off that turn still in front, there's a chance, based on the way he finished the race at Ascot, that he could hold on to a place. I accept that it's very difficult, and I don't really want to be having an each-way bet, because if it was a win-only market, he'd be 100s. But there's that kind of, the way the each-way market forms is they've got to allow for the place. So there is a bet there in terms of the place market. If it was win-only, I'd have to back Minnie Hawk, because I think she's out of the trouble. And as much as I've loved Rebels Romance all season, stall 1 and the lads next door to him are just enough to put me off. But I'll play Redistricting each way for a bigger prize.
Okay. I think we might need to use the same thermometer they used on Sovereignty just to make sure you haven't come down with a fever as you go for an American turf runner in the Breeders' Cup Turf. One who was buried by Rebels Romance last time, but I will never criticize the 25 to 1 pick. And you made a really, really solid argument for him. So best of luck to you, Adam. Georgia, who are you with in a thrilling renewal of the Breeders' Cup Turf?
Yeah, look, you can't knock Minnie Hawk. There's something to note. After the Yorkshire Oaks, they did say that Whirl was going to be the one for the Arc and that she would go to the Breeders' Cup. And at that point, we were thinking for the fillies and Merse Turf. I guess you could take it as a huge vote of confidence from the team that she's ended up here, but it's also a big ask after a long season. And we don't know for sure how much the Arc has taken out for her. We know that Found managed to do it, beating Golden Horn, and so did Enable, plus Highland Grills finished second in the Arc before he won it, but it's still a huge ask. And and I know we've already had winners come out from Arc weekend, like Time to Turn and the likes of Kalpana, but I suppose she's a year older and a year wiser, and when it's not happening, probably looks after herself, whereas I think Minnie Hawk absolutely ran her heart out last time. Maybe it is the year of the Geldings. How can you not love Rebel Romance? Oh. It's a matchup that I never knew that we needed. But it's, 2 horses with great constitution. He's so versatile and unflappable, really. He knows his way around here. He's huge stride. He doesn't have those little questions about him. Yep, 100% he's had easy tasks going into this, but that means he thinks he's coming here as King Kong. And maybe it's just the story that I want to see, as there is word that this might be his last hurrah, despite the fact he was given an entry in Hong Kong this week. My heart says Rebel Romance, and I also have a little theory / knock for Amalok, even though he is a horse that I really like as a horse. I'm just not sure I like him for here. Yes, he won at Ascot on quick ground, and they often go on it the first time they see quick ground, but the second time they remember how sore they were after it and tend to back off. And isn't the reason why we haven't seen him much since Ascot because they didn't want to keep running him on quick grounds. There has always been a murmur that he wants cutting the ground, and I just think it's all going to be a bit fast for him. I thought he wanted more of a galloping track with a bit of cut. I suppose they're taking their chance because he's a gelding. I do really like him as a horse, but just not for here.
Yeah, and he was beaten by Alrifa in the Irish St. Ledger, and Alrifa was kicked into touch by Rebels Romance. So it takes a little bit of reaching. He's probably going to be suited by dropping back in trip, but I would have the same concerns as you for the quick round. Initially, I thought, oh, no, actually, that's going to suit him. Why did he miss so much time after Royal Ascot? I agree with you. Barry, I'm really interested to hear what you have to say on the Breeders' Cup Turf. This is a fantastic race. Rebels Romance, one of the best, a horse that needs more appreciation, really, and a hugely exciting horse in Mini Hawk for Igna Bryan. But there's a whole cast of superstars in here that are really interesting against them.
Well, it's fascinating, as you were saying, that the point about Rebel's Romance getting into a punch-up on the inside is very well made. I mean, you went through half a mile in Canada in 14. Oh, sorry, Canada was it? That wasn't a particularly quick race, I don't think. Just check that.
Belmont at the Big A.
Well, but I'm really looking at El Cordobas is the horse I'm looking at here, and not Rebel's Romance. But Rebel's Romance, I'll just see how quick he went through that race at. The Turf Classic, wasn't it? It was a mile and a half, 49 and a bit for the half mile, which didn't suit El Cordobas at all. Go to the race that El Cordobas ran at before that.
Sword Dancer.
The Sword Dancer, 47 and a bit, and he was off the pace there, came up and won that. He got up on the line, won it by half a length. The speed figure he got from that run is good enough to win one of these, and he's 33-1 here.
Yeah,
it's a ridiculous price, particularly if we get a real good kick of a race here. Then he will be charging late, and I'll be certainly be on my each way ticket. Mini Hawk, the point we made, that was a tough old race, and she was drifting out towards the grandstand as she went through the straight there. I do worry about it. Fillies, the females of the species we know are much tougher than the males in humans and in equines. My midwife wife used to say, if men gave birth, the human race would die out because they couldn't stand the pain. So females seem to do well. They're much tougher than we are. And, she's the sort who could actually make us laugh. And, if she was not laugh, cry, I suppose. But if she's winning and going away to get the race, she'll get a big cheer from me because I love the sport more than love the betting.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm happy to be beaten by Mini Hawk. If she does it, great. Well done. And how exciting it will be to see her back next year as well. I want to take her on at that price. I'm a little bit disheartened that none of you have really given a big shout out to Goliath, and really the only shout out that he got was, he's a big lad, he's not going to be suited by this. And I get it, but he's just massively overpriced for this race. And I wonder, is Barcelona just going to try and go, okay, Rebels Romance, you've won this twice, but I'm getting the lead. And I think he kind of needs to be able to be seen to best effect. He's been very handy in the last win in Germany, and I rate that performance a little bit better. He beats Dubai Honor. Dubai Honor is a very solid yardstick. He comes out and finishes second, splitting two very exciting horses for next season in Yellow Jersey, who was third, very unexposed horse, and the winner, Convergent, is completely unexposed. He should have won the German Derby. He really should have, but he made amends for that on Irish Champions Weekend when he wins a Group 3 over 12 furlongs, and then the last day he's taken the Group 2 in France. I think that's good form, and Dubai Honor is right there to frank that. And the horse who was in third is a horse I held in pretty high regard as well in straight. So I like Goliath. Again, he smashed up Blue Stocking and Rebels Romance and Augusta Rodan and the King George last year on fast ground. Gaffard has won the Arc. He's won the Champion Stakes with Barcelona. He's overpriced at 9-1. I'm going to take a swing on him, but Rebels Romance will have some kind of a bet on him because if he wins and I haven't had some kind of interest in him, I'd be sick. But Goliath is the main play for me in the Breeders' Cup Turf. Okay, to the big one, the Breeders' Cup Classic. Oh, this is really frustrating. This was going to be the race. This was going to be the race. Well, it still is a great race, but it was the race of the year, and Sovereignty is out. Not a whole lot we can do about it, except hopefully Godolphin bring him back next year and we get to see what this horse fulfill his immense potential on the track as a 4-year-old. Send him to Dubai, take the Dubai World Cup, take it by storm, and then try and win this race a year later. But thoughts with his connections, that's really, really awful that you've missed it for an infection, and there's nothing you can do about it. So we have a new favourite, and it's not the defending champion, which I do not understand. Sierra Leone is the second favourite at 3-1. Okay, thanks very much. Fierceness is your 5-2 favourite. As Rapoli was saying, he's unbeaten from the one gate at Del Mar. You keep thinking that, mate. 5-2. Forever Young, who was third in the race a year ago, 9-2, comes into this after winning his prep, obviously. Journalism, who's been no match for Sovereignty, will now represent the 3-year-olds as the main player, a 7-1 shot, and he's got a new jockey on his back. Mindframe, the second runner for Todd Pletcher and Rapoli, is 7-1. Baeza finally getting it together is a 10-1 shot, and the horse who came out on top in an insane running of the Jockey Club Gold Cup last time out, where essentially Sierra Leone was almost pulled up with his jockey. Well, I think he was almost pulled up very early on, because I think his jockey thought he had just killed Jose Ortiz, Thankfully, that didn't happen. But it's understandable that Sierra Leone did not run his race that day. Antiquarian came out on top. 16-1 is the price for him, with Luis Saez taking the ride. He's the third string for Todd Pletcher. Adam Mills, a depleted Breeders' Cup Classic. In the absence of sovereignty, who wins?
Oh, Emmett. Do you remember like 3 weeks ago when we went, I'll tell you what, that each way bet on Sierra Leone is a nice dirty bet, 11-2. Did I take it? No. Didn't, and now I'm
neither of us did, and it was so obvious. Rebels Romance 11-4, Sierra Leone 9-2, and now we're
right there on it.
But I'll say this though, you said to me this morning, balls, he's gone, and now Sierra Leone's going to be 7-4, and that's immediately what I thought. Of course, he's going to be 7-4, 3-1. Okay,
yeah, I think that's quite a fair price. I think by the time we get to the off, I think this market will correct itself, and I think Sierra Leone is going to go off favourite. There isn't that much between them. But if you assumed that they all run their race again, and it's the same as last year, Sierra Leone beats Fierceness, and I think he beats Forever Young. Forever Young was sort of given a bit of an odd ride and finished his race well, but Forever Young's form from earlier in the season in the Saudi Cup just doesn't translate in the same way. And I don't think Forever Young will reverse the form. I can see the point about Fierceness getting still one, but I think now we're going to have a completely different race, because I think before all the other jockeys were thinking there's 2 horses in this, and then I've got to try and ride my horse to come late and pick up the pieces. Now that sovereignty's out, I think there'll be plenty of jockeys who will change mindset and think, no, stop this. This is wide open. We can have a go. Journalism is kind of half interesting again, because if you take the view that sovereignty is a generational horse, journalism's really the only one to have even laid the smallest of gloves on in this season, apart from that weird defeat in Florida. But there is the point that journalism is potentially kind of the super sub and gets the weight. I could see that. If I thought Sierra Leone was a value bet at 11-2, I've got to be with him at 3-1 here, without the one horse I thought would beat him. So I will be backing Sierra Leone, but it would be a relatively small stake. I think this is going to be a good race, but without sovereignty, I'm just less keen. It's taken the gloss off it for me.
Yeah, I agree. And it's weird to be wanting to back Sierra Leone at 9-2 against a horse that you genuinely thought could beat him. Here's a question for you. If Sierra Leone was 9-2 and 1xBet were going betting without the favourite, what price would Sierra Leone have been without sovereignty?
Yeah, see, when I redid this today, had to write completely rewrite a several thousand word preview. But in my paper tissue would have Sierra Leone at 7-4. That's what I see it. Sierra Leone 7-4. I'd go just about 11-4 Fierceness. I mean, I'd push Forever Young, but I appreciate, Mills Bet doesn't offer each way terms, so I'm not having to worry about that. But I think Forever Young's win chance is much higher. I could see the case for journalism and mind frame hitting the frame, and I think both of them, if you're taking that view about sovereignty, then you've surely got to take the view about some of these other form lines too. But no, I would have, betting without, I would have happily taken 7-4 Sierra Leone. So if I can get 3-1, I've got to take it. Sure, I've got to. They'd be mad not to.
Now, if we're starting to get to 7-4 and you still haven't backed him, I think you have to have a different conversation then, because he does need the fast pace and he does need things to fall his way. But he just wins at 3-1, I think. Let's not overcomplicate things. Georgia Cox, who are you with? And is it the defending champion? 5 horses have attempted this. Only one did it. 'Tis now, 2000 and 2001. Can Sierra Leone become the second?
I do like him. It's still a good race. There's lots of mixed form, but I hope they don't overthink the one box with Rebels Romance. But one they did overthink the one box with last year was Forever Young. I think he's got unfinished business in America. Both runs he's had here, he's had one hell of a rough races. In the Kentucky Derby, he had such a rough race that day. He was far back, got all the kickback, hampered early. Sierra Leone was leaning all over him the whole way up the straight, and he still battled to the line to only just get touched off. And I actually think he should have been awarded the race that day. Last year, he was drawn in one. They lit him up from that draw, and I just think overthought it, being one of 4 horses who charged away early, doing too much. That won't happen this year, I don't think. Contrary thinking is drawn next to him. Obviously, the pace horse. Fierceness in the Pacific Classic showed that he doesn't need the uncontested lead. he looks like, so back to last year, he looked like he was going to finish fourth, and then he stayed on again to nab third. Being drawn 5, there should be less of a hurry to get out of the gates. He's got an amazing constitution. This will be his 10th consecutive start in a different country to his previous start. Like, that is just amazing when you think there are some horses that really don't travel well, like Buccaneers Forte, like, Sovereignty, I guess. So, like, it's just we sort of take it for granted that these days how well horses travel, and that is just a serious stat. And he just doesn't lie down. He's ultra consistent, versatile. He looks in great shape on his training videos. He's bucking and kicking, and I hope his luck changes.
He definitely should have been second in that Kentucky Derby, and I think if they challenged, they would have got it, but they were too polite, and they didn't. That being said, Barry, who nods along in agreement, can the Japanese claim the Breeders' Cup Classic, or is it going to be the monster Sierra Leone?
I wouldn't argue too strongly against Georgia's point at all, because I think everything she said stacks up. But I'm with Sierra Leone here. You want a horse that actually you guarantee are going to get this trip. You're going to get a strong pace. My worry is, are they just going to totally ignore the rabbit? And I know Mr. Ripoli is not very happy about it, but they are allowed to run them, and so they do. But what are they going to do with him? They can't corral that horse because he's not good enough. But is he quick enough to go? Is he actually quick enough to go the speed they want him to go? That's the other part. I'm old enough to remember good old Bustino, the race of the century in the last century, when Grundy beat him, and Bustino had 2 pacemakers going 1.5 miles. And I get the feeling here that they might need 2 pacemakers in this. But let's assume there's going to be a strong pace, and the 2 horses that suits, to me, Sierra Leone and Forever Young, and possibly Journalism. I think Journalism could be a bit of an underrated, overlooked horse in this race, but I do think that Sierra Leone is the likely winner to double up and do the job in this race.
Briefly, are you surprised he's not favourite?
I am a little bit. Fierceness is an odd horse in that he's probably the least trustworthy horse you're ever going to have. He's been beaten at short prices, won at short prices, looked like the next big thing, looked like a fraud. And he's a sort of a clever dick horse. See, I told you so, horse. I told you 3-1 was a good price. Well, give me the choice of 3-1 Fierceness, 3-1 Sierra Leone. I'm on Sierra Leone every time.
Me too. And there's Adam. Georgia has to come along and spoil the party with Forever Young. But hey, if Forever Young does spoil the party, then at least you were warned beforehand. It's going to be a crack. It's a real shame Sovereignty's not there, but there's nothing we can do about that. Hopefully they bring him back next year. For now, Sovereignty, in his absence, maybe it's the old rivals Coolmore who claimed their first Breeders' Cup Classic as actual owners with their silks on top. Second to Tisnow in 2001. Are they the ones who now get their revenge? In 2000, Giants Causeway was second. Are they the ones who now get their revenge in the Breeders' Cup in 2025? Sierra Leone, for us, we're amazed he's not favourite. Okay, Breeders' Cup Mile. Back to the turf. It's a race that Aidan O'Brien... Oh, how did Rocket Gibraltar get beaten in this race? My goodness. Aidan O'Brien's won this once, and that was with nearly 100 to 1 shot, Order of Australia, back in the day. He does have the line in Winter, who's going to be interesting, and he definitely has Group 1 class. He definitely has speed. Is he going to be good enough to go and win this race? Notable Speech is your 7-4 favourite. No thank you. And Shaylan, who we've talked up quite a bit on the podcast, has been very well backed with 1xBet, and this episode is powered by 1xBet. You can sign up now at 1xbet.ie in Ireland, bet 10 and get €30 in bets. There's more than 7,000 betting markets for you to play on every single day. You get fast withdrawals, and there's loads of new customer specials, including bet 10, get €30 in free bets. 1xbet.ie to sign up now to the new bookmaker, shaking things up in Ireland and sponsoring 3 races at the Curragh for the finale on Sunday afternoon. And there'll be your opportunity to come and join us at the Curragh, including one of you will get to present the trophy to the winning connections of a 1xBet race as well, and you'll get a dinner included as well, a really nice dinner. They could do lovely food at the Curragh. Join us tomorrow for your chance to win that on the Final Furlong podcast, and sign up to 1xbet.ie right now at 1xbet.ie. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus only. BeGambleAware.org. 1xBet knows the crack. Bet with your head, not above it. Find out more at 1xbet.ie. Shaylan at 6-1. French form sometimes works out very, very well in this race. I'm not surprised that he's been backed, and I can see him going off shorter, but Does Notable Speech deserve to be such a short price favourite for this race, Adam? And who are you with?
I think he should be favourite, but I don't want to take that price about him. He doesn't win often enough for me. He's not a sort of 6 from 10 kind of record where you could steam in. If Graffard is going to have a winner, I think this is it. But I basically with Sarlan, I'm very bitter and twisted. Certain things I can't get over. And I backed this horse at an incredibly short price in a listed race in June in Chance, thinking he can't get beat. And he finished 6th. Since then, he's won at 10 to 1 at Deauville, and he won a Group 1 at 20s. And it's one of those things that stares at my spreadsheet and you go, you had a max bet on that thing. And he got beat by horses now rated less than 100. And here you are looking at the Breeders' Cup going, oh, he's a good price a second. I can't get over it. I'll be screaming for Graffard to have another Group 1 winner. You know, if nothing else, just to get some content and clickbait for this podcast next week. But I do think, Graffard has got a good chance with Sarlan if he can replicate that form. I can't bring myself to back him. I don't think he's the biggest horse. But equally speaking, this is not a deep race. I think the market's about right. It's the Lion in Winter, not just... I know, it's kind of... His record is patchy now. But this time last year, he was the favourite for the Derby. We all thought he was going to be the next coming. He went off odds on for the Dante at York. Now, I know he had the ringworm infection and it subsequently came out, but he's kind of been like a long-term project. And he went off the same price for the Derby that he is now. And yet I'd argue he's shown far better form since the Derby than he did going into it. Had he not been chinned by some 100 to 1 shot with a long stride and the far side rail in his favour, would he not be a much shorter price for this race? I know he's backing up quickly, but they've campaigned him carefully. He's going to get the ground. I think going round a bend will help. He's got a nice draw in 4. Soumillon's going to get something to track. I just think the Lion in Winter is a value bet here. I'd be happy. I think he should be closer to 7 to 2, 4 to 1. If I can get 7s, that'll do for me. I think the Lion in Winter might get Aiden another winner.
Yeah, and he beat Ruling Court in the Acom last year. Ruling Court beats Field of Gold, and then the first time he takes on Fields of Gold, the Lion in Winter beats him in the QE2. I can't explain why Cicero's Gift won that race, but I am starting to come around, having been very keen on Shayla, and I am starting to come around to the idea that the Lion in Winter is actually pretty big price here, Georgia, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much between a few of the horses here. They've got some form lines that really cross. So that's for Notable Speech, Lion in Winter and Graffard, Ceylan. But they all have form sort of crisscrossing each other. 2 horses that have had a strange campaign and for me still remain interesting is Notable Speech. Last year he came here having had a long season. He was winning at Kempton on the 27th of January. It's a long time to be on the go for. This year, he needed to run in the Lockinge in May. Ascot was a messy race, lying straight through the July Cup. He should have won in France when flying home in the Jacques Mare, and last time he won the Woodbine Mile in Canada. The Lion in Winter, I just think there are horses that want it more. Once Derby favourite, could come here, even though, Aiden's fancied horses have bad draws. I do think horses like the Lion Winter and Bedtime Story, really, who have proved hard to win with this year, the track might suit them in the fact that they may settle, but he has settled better more with more racing, but he's still on the metal. But a faster pace could just help him drop his head, and hitting the turns could just take him off his feet early. So that then could let him have more in the finish. And also, for a horse like that, who I'm not sure sometimes how hard he tries, is a short straight can help horses like that because they're at the winning post before they know it. There's also a stat for Progeny by See the Stars when they've won a group race as a 2-year-old. They don't tend to go on and win as a 3-year-old. Cloth of Stars did reach for the moon, won over hurdles. But bar that, there is not a See the Stars horse who's won a group pattern race as a 2-year-old who's then gone on to win group races as a 3-year-old. So he'd also have to come through that. Look, I could see it, but I'd rather back a horse who tries harder. And as an each-way price, another horse that's had a funny campaign, I do like Jonquil. I liked his prep run. I thought he ran on really well. He was far back. You'd hope he'd prove sharper for the experience. That was also on the inside track where a lot of European horses got caught out that day. He was ahead behind Henry Matisse in the Poulain, and that day he had Ceylan Graffard's horse behind him. He's had a strange campaign at the start of the year. I think Judgment were trying to keep Field of Gold and Cosmic Year apart, so he got plummeted to the Commonwealth Cup. Yet now he could finish the year better than both of them. I actually think he'd stay further, and I think he still remains interesting.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the fact that they supplemented him for the Commonwealth Cup. And I think the only reason for that is it was a Group 1, because he was ideally suited to the Jersey, and they could have run him in that race. They didn't have anything else for it, but they didn't. They decided to put him in the Commonwealth Cup, and obviously it was an experiment that didn't quite work out, but he's bounced back since then. And that run was better the last day in America, certainly from a wide draw. Barry, who are you with in the Breeders' Cup Mile?
I'm a bit concerned saying this because I think we need someone to hold Adam's hand, because I love Sarlan in this race. And I'm hoping he has a really good day so he can afford to pay for the counselling he clearly needs for his grief. He's suffering the hooves of this particular horse. I love that one in the Moulin. It was a strange one. The thing with Graffo was saying he's really quite keen this horse. Yeah, looking 20-1, 10-1 last time. Oh, this is much of a muchness, this horse. And then I just love the way he guts out the win. Another friend of mine was not going to forgive him because he beat Rosalian that day, and Lionel went just behind him. But I think he's the sort who's actually still improving, and I think there's more to come from him. So he's my idea of the winner in this race. I take the point about John Quill. I mean, he'll turn around the form with the two horses that beat him last time. Notable Speech is the right favourite. He's a bit of an odd ball again. Those last two runs, you can't not like a horse that finishes that strongly, because that's the way you win the mile. So, but Sarlan's the one for me.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I'm probably going to split stakes on Shellan and the Line in Winter. I'm really interested in Jonquil for exotic purposes for sure, and hey, maybe he goes and wins the race. Can't have Notable Speech. Absolutely not. No way. That form with Rosalian is rubbish. Rubbish. It's always an excuse. Every time they get beaten, oh, he's best miler in Europe. Oh, the next day. Oh, the next day. Nope. No thanks. I've seen this enough. And Charlie Appleby was interviewed by Rishi Prasad on Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup. He was asked for his best chance of the meeting. He wanted to say Rebels Romance. He's very excited to see him in action. But the horse he said was his best chance of the meeting was Cinderella's Dream. You have the favourite for the Breeders' Cup Mile, and you're pointing us towards Cinderella's Dream. Okay. I don't think he trusts him either. To the Dirt Mile. 2 races to go. Nisos, strong favourite, 6-4. I think the line from Ryan, Charlie, and Howard on the show on Monday was Nisos wins this by as much as he wants. Is that a statement you would agree with, Adam Mills?
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. I don't really want to be taking the short prize. I could certainly think Nisos is the most likely winner, but it's not for me. I don't know what it is about this horse. I just haven't really taken to him. And whilst he's got experience in the track and he's run okay, just no, off a break, not for me. I think there's a bit of value in this market with a horse who's already won 4 Grade 1s, who's already won a Breeders' Cup Classic, who's won a Pegasus, won a Whitney. White Abario is a massive price. I want to be with him. Now, because he's won a Whitney Stakes, I think everyone thinks, Saratoga's his track. But his form at Saratoga's not great. Apart from the Whitney Stakes, he's finished 5th, 4th, and 4th. But he does come alive in the autumn. His record from October to December is 1-3, 1-1-2. He's won a Breeders' Cup Classic down to the mile. I thought the prep run was okay, but I think he's going to come into his own over the winter. And he's like nearly a double-figure price with 4 Grade 1s on his CV. That will do for me. I'll take him each way, and if he bumps into Nisos, so be it.
Richard Dutrow coming back into action to train him again? Maybe he'd have a chance then. 8-1. Okay. Not going to criticize an 8-1 shot. Hey, maybe he does bounce back. Georgia Cox, who are you with in the Dirt Mile?
Yeah, look, I love Mystic Dan and White Abario, but I'm just not sure he's the White Abario of old. And I do think Nisos has shown brilliance, only beaten once in 6 starts. When you see some of his performances, it's a surprise that this is his first start in Grade 1 company. In the Robert B. Lewis, he looked really special. Disappointing then he had to miss the Kentucky Derby. Impressive again in the Grade 2 San Diego handicap. Then a shame he had to miss the Pacific Classic due to a foot issue. So he hasn't ran since July, but I'm sure Bob Bafford will have him at his best, like you said, against proven Group 1 horses. But I think he will show his brilliance again in his long-awaited first start in a Grade 1.
Last race on dirt. Who are you going to side with, Barry Faulkner?
I'm going with last year's winner, Full Serrano. I keep hearing that it's a tougher race this year, but I like the way that horse won the race last year. He was clearly the best. And I take the point about Nice Horse. The last 2 races, he was 1-5 and 1-10. He was beating nothing. He really was. He's meeting some decent horses here. Mystic Dan, last year's Derby winner, 2 decent efforts last twice. Another interesting one on the cutback. White Barrio take the case with him indeed. Goal-oriented, third in the Haskell and PA Derby. Interesting on the cutback. But Nisus is just too short for me. And I just like Full Serrano to repeat.
Okay, Full Serrano did us a massive favour in this race a year ago. It would be great to see him go and do it again. I'd like to see some of the Gallop reports because there was some rave reports about him. But very, very confident vote from Barry Faulkner, which might just sway me that way. The final race of Breeders' Cup 2025. We're back on the turf. It's the Filly and Mare turf this time, and the favourite to see the fire, Andrew Balding, seeking his first Breeders' Cup win. Maybe he'll have got it with Jonquil, but this is a powerful filly to be going to war with. She's got good form with Ombudsman. That crazy flag start race at Goodwood, she probably ran as well as could have been expected, and she was narrowly beaten in a Group 1 last time out in Paris Longchamp when she was very well fancied for that race, but maybe inconvenienced by how the race panned out. She's 7-2 with 1xBet. Cinderella's Dream is 4-1. Again, the most likely winner, according to Charlie Appleby, for him of the week, and his horses are in unbelievable form. He has had 6 winners from 11 runners in the last 2 weeks. Only one of them has been out of the first 3, and that was one who was beaten 6 1/4 lengths as a 9-1 shot. Who Ryan Moore's son was on board, and then Ryan Moore wins for Charlie just the other day as well. Toby Moore, Ryan Moore's son, I should say, wins for him. Really interesting runner for Cinderella's Dream. And we know she likes America. Gazora, French Oaks runner-up. French Oaks winner. She beat Bedtime Story, the runner-up who's going to rematch with her, and she was placed in the Vermeil not so long ago as well. Bombs out in the arc, but interesting. And Bedtime Story, do we go with Bedtime Story again? It'll be time for the Bedtime Stories at 12:25 our time when this race is being run. Adam Mills, who are you going to side with?
To be honest, I think my nearly 40-year-old ass will probably be asleep by the time this race goes off. But
yeah, watch it Sunday morning, mate. Watch it Sunday morning.
I'm disappointed that Gazora didn't come straight here, especially when they bear in mind they had the Arc winner in the yard, and I don't think they needed to go to Longchamp. I don't think she enjoyed it. She is a summer ground horse. She's going to get better ground here. She's certainly interesting. But I just wonder that was a hard race for Minnie Hawk, and she nearly won it. It was an even harder race for those in behind trying to make up ground. I just worry she might have left it behind. I'm not going to back Cinderella's Dream. I'm certainly not going to back Bedtime Story. I can't be doing that. I could certainly see the case for Cedar Fire, but I don't really like Stall 14. I've kind of, this is an insane theory to approach the Breeders' Cup with, but I've taken the view across the whole 2 days that the market's just right off these US turf horses entirely, and that there's some of them, not all, but some are probably bigger price than they should be. Down in stall 2, I like a horse of Brad Cox's called Stellify. Won our last 4 races. Controlled the race at Kentucky Downs. Now it's Kentucky Downs form, and it's kind of like the Cartmel of American turf tracks at times because it's so undulating and they go behind the trees and you can't really get a good handle on the data or anything like that. But she did control that race really well. She's got an long stride, averages over 25 feet. Stall 2, I thought she was the most likely one to get towards the front. And she's quite a big filly. I could see her kind of getting to the front, holding that rail. And yet she's like a massive double figure price. Yeah. Because there are reasons to take on almost everything in front of her for one reason or another. I just thought I'd rather have a swing at the end of the card, and Stellify looked a bit of an each-way punt enough.
I was really interested in her because she's a daughter of Justify, who's won her last 3. Justify ripped the Breeders' Cup to shreds a couple of years ago with Progeny, and yet he's only got 1 runner at the entire meeting this year, which is just kind of weird. This is it, Stellify in the last race. Georgia, who are you with?
Yeah, I didn't know that Charlie had said that, which is slightly worrying for my pick. I'm going against what Charlie Appleby is saying here, but here we are. I think Diamond Rain is win on the right horse here. Cinderella's Dream for me, I know she was runner-up last year, but her last 2 starts have been underwhelming.
Yeah.
And I don't really see any excuse for them. We know last time they raced on the inner track at Woodbine, and Diamond Rain wasn't the fastest away. She blew the turns, but warmed into the race and finished strongly to only just get touched off by She Feels Pretty, who, yes, travelled into it better than her, and she's on home turf. But I think with that race and the experience under her belt, it will bring Diamond Rain on more. And with the extra furlong, I also think that will suit her more. The ground is to her liking. She's had her excuses in the past, but I'm just not sure Will's on the right one here.
Barry Faulkner, the nightcap.
Yeah, I
Who's
agree.
going to take it?
Yeah, I agree a bit about Cinderella's Dream. Disappointed last twice. Diamond Rain got close to She Feels Pretty, which is supposed to be the best of the Americans, but I think that holds her form down because I'm not convinced with Diamond Rain. I think I can see a case, but I think the front two of the market are the right too. See the Fire, tough task this year, blitzed the Group 2 field earlier in May, only beating a short neck in the Opera last time. Now, Gazora, Adam, the only way I disagree with what you were saying about the Arc, she wasn't really given a race. She was in a bloody awful draw out in the Bois de Boulogne, and I think she was brought home very steadily, quite honestly. So I don't think that, I'm not going to hold that against her. And she ran well in the Vermeil behind Aventure. So she's the one I'm going for here.
Okay, and to be fair, Kalpana came out of the Arc and bolted up in the Fillies and Mares on Champions Day, so every reason to think Gazora will be okay. There was a theory that she might be staying in America given her ownership. I'm hoping that's not why she's there and that she just has real class to be able to go and shoot the lights out in that race. Okay, your best bets for Saturday at the Breeders' Cup, and multiple suggestions are very, very welcome. Peyton's, Lucky 15s, Lucky 31s. Hey, Lucky 63s. What have you got for us, Adam Mills?
Oh, I'm not really a multiples man, to be honest, but you could throw them. If you wanted to have a couple, I think Bentonato and Motorious as an each-way double is probably a fairly safe bet. I think both of those two will be in the first 3. So I think you might get away with that in terms of an each-way double. The best bets in terms of the singles is... I do like an each-way bet on Clico in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. I think that form has been completely and utterly overlooked. I think there's some each-way value there, but if you'd said to me Sovereignty's not running and you can still have 3-1 Sierra Leone, that would have been the bet. So I think Sierra Leone needs to be in every multiple that you're going to have, Emmet.
Already done, my friend. Already done. Georgia Cox, your naps and multiples for the Breeders' Cup.
I think I don't know. I think Forever Young is going to get his day. He deserves it in America after 2 rough races, and I'm going to stick with the big one, yeah.
Okay. Japanese to take the classic. Barry Faulkner, your naps and multiples for the Breeders' Cup.
My nap of the meeting is probably Sarlan. Again, sorry, Adam, it's terrible and cruel of me to do this to you. Really, I do like him. And my fourth me Yankee, since we're in America, although not probably Yankee land, Sierra Leone, Sarlan, Falserano, and Gazora.
Oh, that's gonna pay nicely. That's going to pay very nicely. All right, that is it. Thank you very much for watching and listening to this episode of the Final Furlong podcast. If you haven't liked already, please hit the like button now. It's a massive help to us with the algorithm. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode of the Final Furlong podcast. Hopefully, Adam and George will be back with us very, very soon. Hopefully, Barry will be back with us soon as well. Hopefully, we don't have to wait a year to get you back on for the annual Breeders' Cup special. But it's been great to have you back on the show, Barry. Good to see you in such good form as well, and the work continues to be excellent on the At The Races website. If you're ever just sitting in front of your TV and you want to be entertained for the night, have a read of the excellent Barry Faulkner article, all for free on the At The Races website. It is your guide to the American racing, and more often than not, this man is right. So, attheraces.com. Have you got many articles for the Breeders' Cup this year?
Just 1 or 2. I've been rather busy. Thank goodness the boss has been away for a few days, so I've been able to get stuck in without being put onto domestic chores, shall we say.
I was gonna say Matthew Taylor was away for a few days, but no, the real boss.
The real boss. She's been my boss. We just got through 50 years of marriage together, so she's been a boss for a long time.
Well, congratulations on the golden anniversary. That is the best achievement of your life, quite frankly, and you're a lucky man to be able to do that too. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for watching and listening to the Final Furlong podcast. We really appreciate your support of the show. Check out onexbet.ie if you're looking for a new bookmaker. I don't know, maybe you had the audacity to take a price about a horse and your bet won, or maybe some sports bet, and then they were like, oh, you took best price? How dare you? Hopefully OneXBet will never do that to you, so just check them out. Lots of offers, lots of markets to bet on. OneXBet.ie for more information. From Adam Mills, Georgia Cox, Barry Faulkner, and me, Emmet Kennedy, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again very, very soon on the Final Furlong podcast. Look after yourself and each other. God bless.
Thanks for spending some time with us on the Final Furlong podcast. We're independent media, so if you like what we do, hit like, share, and subscribe. It's free, it's quick, and it genuinely helps. And if you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more where that came from. Don't miss out. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major platforms, and join us on the gravy train. The Final Furlong podcast, independent, unfiltered, and powered by you.